Now we're in that second back straightaway.
When it is wet there on the outside, you have to really watch that. It's always like that on the outside, that grass area there. You see the cars drop wheels there. You better not do that today.
And you saw that yellow number 51. That's Mike McLaughlin's ride, the Wheels Auto Parts car. Wheels, a division of Phase, as is Paper Cutter. They all have cars involved in this race. Here's third row there on the outside in that bright yellow and blue. Number 51, McLaughlin, the Busch North points leader, who won last week at Stafford Springs, Connecticut, for Harry and Mike Gricci, that team based up in Granby, Connecticut.
I'll tell you, this is the best thing could happen. They've tried drying it with safety equipment, and you can do that for 3 hours. You stick this many race cars out there, get the heat in these cars and on that racetrack, and it won't take just a few laps to get this track dried off.
That's Brett Bodine's car, the yellow number 26. And now they're being given a green-yellow condition. So the race has officially started. Laps are being counted. But they are behind the pace car, as they would be on a caution lap. They'll lined up double file in their original starting positions. They don't go to single file. And after a few laps of this, to make sure the track is fully dry, as you see they come down here into turn 1, and when they drop the green, that's an area you really want to be dry. Then we'll be ready to go green flag racing. So while we're under this green-yellow situation here at Watkins Glen, New York, they have started the Phase 150. We'll be right back. You're looking at turn 11 here at Watkins Glen International. Circuit formerly home of the United States Grand Prix, and for 10 years now, IMSA Camel GT, Camel Continental Racing. That's part of this big doubleheader weekend. And we're still under a green-yellow, or under a yellow condition right now. Make sure the track is fully dry. Pace car driver in communication with the tower so that when they roll off into turn number 1, and here they are coming out of 1 and downhill to turn number 2, that this track is dry enough to go racing. Ed Ferree is in the pits. Here's Randy.
Crew is thrashing on it right now. They're to the left side. The car came in a little bit smoking. Ed Ferree's moving the steering wheel back and forth. I'm not exactly sure. It was smoking when it came in. I'll try to get further word with the crew to decide exactly what it is. Just can't tell right from here right now.
Randy, if they're working that area and he's working the wheel, possibly could be the power steering. They've either overfilled or got a line loose. They're just checking it. Hopefully it's nothing bad wrong.
Well, he can go tail into the line, but of course will not lose a lap under this caution condition right now. If you joined us late, the start of this race has been delayed about 45 minutes due to a rain shower late this morning. And the track is almost in dry raceable condition right now. At the end of the back straightaway, the inner loop, as it's called, a right, left, left, right condition. And Dorsey, explain why in almost all the classes of racing now, the entry and the corner speed through turn 5, where the drivers are coming now, is faster than it was before they put in that chicane.
You know, it's a funny situation, Mike. What happened there before is you used to come onto the straightaway and run down in that corner. You were hard on the brakes. You'd have to be getting the car down from 180 miles an hour, 170 miles an hour, and get it slowed down. Now you have to slow up earlier. You go through that chicane, you're actually on the throttle, coming out of that inner loop. You're on the throttle and driving the car down the hill. It's got more grip when you're driving on the throttle than it does when you're on the brake.
They're out of that turn 5 now. You see there's a lot of elevation change here at Watkins Glen. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett in Tommy Houston's pit.
Well, Mike, a lot of confusion going on down here. Scott Houston, smoke coming from the car. What's wrong?
Well, he's got a problem with the left front brake. We're not sure what it is right now. He said there's a lot of smoke and the wheels jumping up and down like it's got a broke rotor or something. And we got another little problem back here in the pits with NASCAR. They came 5 minutes ago before the start of the race and told us we were in the wrong pit. But the numbers added up, but we didn't have no way of knowing we was in the wrong pit. They just informed us of it, you know. So we're getting it together, and we're going to take care of this brake deal first.
All right, the other problem they got is their tools are down there where NASCAR told them to move. Part of their stuff's here, part of it's down there. Bad situation for them.
Houston comes out of turn 11, Glenn, and he will head for pit road this time. See him disappearing just off the left side of the screen. He usually runs number 6, but as at Nazareth, Mike Stefanik, who runs number 6 on the Busch North Circuit, qualified faster than Houston, so it's Tommy that has to change his number. Car rolls to a stop. Wheel doesn't lock up. And the crew will get to work with what tools they have at that vicinity. Let's go back to Glenn.
Steve Bird is down there with Scott Houston. You can see him. He's the guy in the black shirt. Look at the wrenches they've got. They're just having to use big adjustable wrenches because they don't have any tools here. This is one of the oddest situations I've ever seen. You can see a little smoke coming from it. There definitely is a brake rotor problem there. That's going to cost him a lot of time. They put some ice water on it, trying to cool things down, but they got a real problem there. We'll see how it's getting along and update it a little further, Mike.
Now that fellow in the black shirt, Steve Bird, is now known as Suitcase Steve. He's bought all of Jake Elder's luggage. He started the season with Roy Payne. He was with Kenny Wallace the year before, and now he's moved over to the Jack Sprague team. Native of Massachusetts and a very talented crew chief. He's with the Staff America team of Jack Sprague. And as in this sport, somebody needs the help, and you jump right in and you do it.
You know, they're looking back toward the transmission now. They're looking a little bit further than that left front wheel, back toward the transmission. And a lot of the guys run coolers on them here. I might have a problem in that area. Yeah, they're a little bit further back, Dorsey, than around that brake. Looks like they're doing the transmission area.
Yeah, and it's unusual to see a guy have trouble on the first or second lap of a race. This one actually behind the yellow the whole time. This is a fortunate situation. They might be able to fix this car and not go down a lap.
There you see the size of the brakes and the calipers that they run here and all the cooling ducts that they run here on the road course. Brakes here are as critical as they are at a place like, say, Martinsville or North Wilkesboro. You have longer straightaways, but you have more braking zones here per lap and per the distance than you would have almost anywhere else.
You know, as big as that brake looks, combined, you know, me speaking as a road racer, it ain't near big enough.
Not for the weight of these cars. Let's go back to Glenn.
Well, Mike, I had a chance to talk to Tommy Houston as he sat there in the car. They changed the transmission this morning to change the gear ratio. They've got a problem. Evidently, they have left something loose. They got a real bad transmission fluid leak. He has fired the car now, so I think they're going to get him down and away here very shortly.
He'll be able to stay on the lead lap if he can get away right now.
Yeah, that's a little bit different deal, too. You hear him say to change the gear ratio in a transmission. When they come to these road courses, they've got the Jericho transmission now. And you have the luxury of changing ratios in second, third, and fourth gear. So they've got a lot to work with. Now, boy, the track's looking a lot better now. Dorsey, getting that thing dried up some.
The track's looking real good, but unfortunately, it looks like we're about to go a lap down, Tommy, as he just now has dropped a lap down. That's unfortunate.
So Houston gets a lap down without getting to run a lap of green, but they wanted to take the time and repair that completely. Let's check with Randy Pemberton.
Well, gentlemen, there's always a tire story in the Busch Grand National Division. Here it is today. 8 of the cars will start on Hoosier tires. The rest of the field will start on Goodyear's. Only 1 tire per position on the car is allowed to be changed during this race. Now, you often might wonder what kind of tires these guys run here for a road course. Well, the Hoosier company, the right side tires will be like a Myrtle Beach tire. The left side tires, they'll be more like a Martinsville tire. As far as Goodyear's, those are more like Winston Cup compound tires, and those tires are only run on the road course. So that's the tire story here today.
Thanks, Randy. Ed Ferree makes another pit stop as Tommy Houston completes work on his car. He's gone away to rejoin the tail end of the field 1 lap back. We're running under caution here at Watkins Glen International, not too far from the drop of the green flag. We'll be right back. Even here they come toward turn 11. You see the ripple strip at the outside of that corner, the rumble strip. And alligator teeth.
And they rumble over there, too.
Yes.
Several of them have rumbled over in the last day or two.
And here, turn 11, the final corner. And there's the rumble strip there. Now, they actually use that as a track out point coming out of that corner from our speed shot, which I think its position could be in jeopardy today. Green flag. And the Phase 150 gets the green with 5 laps complete. Irvin down into turn number 1. Elliott right with him. As they jump on the brakes, going to be a little damp in that inside lane there. It looks like everybody's going to squeeze on through there.
I'll tell you, I was really concerned because there's still a little bit of moisture, but they did a good job of getting them sorted out in one.
Full acceleration up through the Essex.
They're going to come up into that brake zone, headed for this inner loop, and that's where it's been the wettest, so we have to watch that as they come in here.
Irvin, Elliott, Nemechek, Burton, the front 4.
They're in high gear now, little 6-cylinder, really working to climb this big hill. There's Dorsey's talking about. See a little bit of water flies that came in there.
Yeah, and just like I talked about earlier, you saw Ernie using the curbing there. He got the car up on the curb. It's going to be awful slippery if you keep doing that.
Turn 5. Go sweep a little bit downhill, accelerating all the way out of 5.
They gave it a little bit more room under that white line than they normally do.
Yeah.
Can't afford to flirt with that edge like they did before.
Now they skipped the booth, so it's turn 5, straight to turn 10.
Well, a lot of racing going on back. We've seen cars side by side back there, and you don't know what this track's going to be like on your first lap, so that's a daring move right now.
Richard Lassiter moving up a spot there on Bobby Dotter and Robert Presley. Turn 11. Dotter down to the inside. Presley going to come around the outside. Didn't know you could pass at turn 11. Nobody told Robert Presley that.
Now they're going to make it 3 wide.
Down to the inside, Todd Bodine and Chuck Bound. Bodine nips a spot from Dave Rezendes.
Get on the inside, you take that inside lane away. It makes a big difference going in that corner.
We've seen orange car on the inside there. That's the best way to get up into this high-speed essence here. You got to get that sorted out before you get to about where they are right now. You see the orange, they haven't got it sorted out quite yet.
Yeah, it's Bobby Dotter and Steve Grissom battling. Front of the pack, here's Irvin. Going to do a little curb jumping right there. He and Elliott. And Nemechek and Burton in fourth.
Boy, Ernie really works that car through there. I mean, he just gets it tippy-toeing through there. He's like that in the Windsor Cup cars through there, too. I followed him there before.
He really hustles the car.
Yeah, like he said that it ain't always pretty, but it's effective.
You know, that's, you know, when I first started road racing, everybody said, boy, you need to use finesse and really take your time. There's some guys that can do that. They go around and look like they never slip a wheel, and they go really, really fast. Then there's some guys that throw the car around and get the same job done.
And one of those is Terry Labonte in that number 14 car. Very, very smooth and consistent as a road racer, and so is Bill Elliott. You don't see them toss the car around too much. Irvin way down to the inside. Now, that's a different line for turn one.
Yeah, that was kind of a defensive line. I was surprised to see him pull over that far. I'm not so sure something's not wrong. For him to pull over out of the lane, yeah, there's several cars going by.
Elliott gets past.
He must have felt something in that car and wanted to see what's wrong, because he pulled over and gave them that line that they needed.
Yeah, they're all going around now. Ernie's having some kind of problem real early in this race.
And if you lose your cylinder on one of these, you're back to 5. It's not going to do a whole lot.
So Bill Elliott takes over the lead. 7 laps complete.
You know, I think we had probably a potential of 6 or 7 winners if Ernie's car wasn't in there. I think everybody said he's really got him covered. 55 car having trouble, coming through slow, but if Ernie falls out of this thing, it's going to put several cars with a real good chance to win the race.
That's Speedo moving at reduced speed. Don't see any damage on the car as he comes up to the inner loop.
No, he's definitely limping along, though. He's half a lap back from where everybody else is right now already.
Here's Elliott. 11.
And Ernie did not come in the pits.
No, he's hanging on there at 5th spot.
It's hard to say what's wrong. He's staying, you know, he hadn't totally lost the leaders.
Back in 6th will be Mike McLaughlin, 7th Bill Parsons, 8th Tracy Leslie, and 9th is Brett Bodine. 8 laps complete here at Watkins Glen International. We are under green after a rain delay, and you ride with Brett Bodine. We'll be right back. Bill Elliott leads here in the Phase 150. Joe Nemechek is second, but boy, it's heating up right where Nemechek is. There's Terry Labonte, that white car down to the inside, tried to make a run at Ward Burton, saw nothing there as they got to the inner loop. Burton third in the Hardee's Buick, and Labonte fourth. Now Ernie Irvin is still holding on to 5th. Was on the pole, led this race, then dropped to the inside, but he's hanging on a 5th spot. There's his yellow car, the Kodak machine. He's still got a good lead over 6th place, which is Mike McLaughlin. McLaughlin leads that next pack.
You know, it's hard to believe, but Ernie's car was so fast that he might have actually lost the cylinder and still be able to hang on to these guys. I'm not sure what the problem, but that thing of his has been flying all week.
What's the problem with it, Randy?
It's not a cylinder, guys. They're saying that he's having trouble with the transmission. It's sticking in between 3rd and 4th gear, so sometimes he can't get up out of the box to get it in 4th gear. So he's going to try to ride it out a little bit, try and get it in 4th gear when he can, and try and fix it under caution.
Now there's Ernie Irvin, and quite a battle shaping up for 6th spot just behind him as he rolls on through turn number 2 and starts to climb the hill.
Yeah, that's where it should get in trouble. Yeah.
Mike McLaughlin and the rest of that pack of cars. Now this is 6th on back. It's McLaughlin. Phil Parsons is the white car, number 29, and then Brett Bodine has moved up to 8th in that second yellow car. The Phase Drugs machine. Then Tracy Leslie is in the 9th spot, and Todd Bodine, who started 18th, has moved all the way up to 10th. Well, Brett tried the outside of Phil there, didn't get it. Mike Stefanik, 2-time national modified champ, comes on to pit road very early for this stop for the Don Ling crew, and they're having a look at the right rear on Stefanik's car. Back to the battle for 6th place. McLaughlin, who nearly won the race here, the Busch North race here a month ago, made a goof and got off the course with just 3 laps to go. Brett Bodine, Todd Bodine makes the pass. And Todd moves up past Tracy Leslie. He started 18th, and he told me they had such troubles with the car in practice and qualifying that this morning they put last year's setup back under it, and they're just hoping it works, and so far it has.
Phil Parsons trying it down the inside. McLaughlin.
Boy, he locked the tire up there, too. Blocked left front up in that water that we said was on the inside there, but he made it stick anyway. Got on by.
And it looks like Brett Bodine also having a look down low. Now you're riding with Brett Bodine as he climbs the hill coming up the S's.
You know what? That looks real easy from inside that car, but inside while you're driving that car, he's right on the edge there. That's wide open. If you get the car handled right, you run all the way up through there, wide open.
Yeah, and that big blue ribbon of steel looks pretty tough sitting there on each side. Looks like you're going in a funnel and just down in a tunnel.
It's awful close, too. You don't have very far to go to get there.
Third gear, second. Parsons. And here, Brett Bodine, right behind him, Mike McLaughlin, and Todd jumps to the inside, makes the pass.
That was a really nice move. He set that pass up right in the middle of the inner loop there. It's a good place to set up. He just put his car inside the other, and there was no way to defend against it. He just drove right on by.
So the Bodine brothers now 7th and 8th. Trouble on Mike Stefanik is a broken rear axle shaft, right rear of his Valvoline Auto Palace Pontiac.
And that's the wrong thing to have to live with on a road course with one of those axles broken.
You know, that could be attributed also to this wet weather. You know, a guy spins up a wheel in the wet, and all of a sudden it gets some traction, and that snaps that axle right off.
Well, you see him use that strip out to the edge of turn 11. Robert Presley's been up and over that with the left side wheels. We saw one lap ago. And that's good asphalt out there. It's not a curb, and it's not a rumble strip. It's just kind of like the edge of the racetrack. It's got a little bank to it like a cushion. And the Busch drivers have found they can ride that to pretty good effect with the left side tires. A little bit of bonus pavement, would you call it?
I think they put it out there to keep you off of that wall, and everybody just tiptoes on out there and uses it. It was probably put for safety reasons, and now they start racing on the thing.
Ooh, Ricky Craven. A lot of smoke. Presley goes by. And Dave Rezendes has cracked the wall, coming up toward the inner loop there.
Makes you wonder if there was oil from the other car we saw, or what got it started.
Well, you see how slippery that grass was. He hit that, and that thing spun around 3 whole times, just like it was a top.
Caution flag is out at lap 13 for Dave Rezendes. We'll be back to Watkins Glen International after this. We're under the second caution of the day. Dave Rezendes is the reason why. His car is parked there near the braking zone to the inner loop. Ricky Craven's car apparently has lost an engine and has come to rest. It will not make it all the way around. And he appears to be just over the tunnel for access to the infield. Now, on this 11-turn road race course, of which NASCAR uses 7, you see the inner loop area. Just before that, to the left of that, in the braking zone at the end of that straightaway, is where Rezendes got into trouble. There's Irvin exiting the inner loop, and there goes Rezendes.
And Dorsey, like you said, watch how many times this car turns around like it's sitting on ice, sitting in the same spot, round and round.
You know what? He got turned way back there. It's almost like I think he might have had contact from behind with another car, because he turned back on the outside of the track, on the right-hand side of the track, and come across and hit that guardrail. But I think that dent was there first.
If you look to the right, you'll see that big 5-0. That's a 500. You can't see the other 0. That's the 500-foot braking going into the inner loop. There's markers 500, 400, 300 going in. Stop 500 foot out.
Now, Dave climbed out of the car. He is okay. They're going to try to pull it back to the garage area. Ernie Irvan made a pit stop on the first lap of this caution period. Here's Randy.
Well, what they have, guys, is a broken bracket on the transmission. Danny Marshburn and Crucci and Jay Smith are going to go to work on it again under this caution. Ernie left the pits in second gear, so I'm not really sure what gear it's stuck in between, but they're going to bring it back in and go to work on it.
Well, sometimes you have the fastest car and tough break.
I tell you, a lot of people have been having trouble with the shifters here. I know Joe Nemechek, he's broken 3 of the rods going to the shifter. These guys really cramming these things in gear, kind of, and that goes along with learning how to run the road course, how to finesse that thing and not tear the shifter up, as well as the transmission. I'm somebody to be talking to you as much as I snatched them around.
All right, Ricky Craven's looking for a push back to the garage. Let's go to his pit and Glenn.
Well, Mike, I came down and checked with David Lovendahl, the crew chief for Ricky Craven, and he definitely did blow up. They said they were through for the day. They're loading things up, going to pack the truck and head out of here early today. Short afternoon for Ricky.
So Craven loses an engine. They're still working on the right rear of Mike Stefanik's car. And Tommy Houston is back in the pits. The car is up on jack stands on the right side this time. That's Houston's car to the right side of your screen, as his son Scott and the crew continue to work under it. So trouble befalling some of the front runners in the very early going here at the Phase 150. We have 14 laps complete. Bill Elliott is the race leader. Joe Nemechek is second. Ward Burton is third. Terry Labonte in fourth. And the Bodine brothers, the hometown favorites, continue to move up. They're fifth and sixth. Race here today in the 75 car. Getting set for the restart, which they will take in that second back straightaway without Ernie Irvan, who will likely go a lap down as they try to give him a transmission he can work with.
Yeah, they're about probably 8 or 10 seconds away from coming around this part of the track he's on. They're going to have to do something in a hurry.
Well, we've seen him come from behind from the last on-road race course at Sears Point and come all the way through the field and win, but a lap down is a whole different thing.
Now let's update this. They give them the 1 to go sign as they get up to the inner loop on the back straightaway, but they give them the green when they come back to start finish. So the pace car will now drop in here at turn 11. And Bill Elliott leads them around looking for green. Green is back out as they complete 16 laps. Elliott, Nemechek, Ward Burton, and Brett Bodine, the yellow car to the inside, headhunting Labonte. And nothing quite there.
They took a look, but I mean, when you move offline, they're out there in the wet, and you can't brake as efficiently as the other guys, so no pass made. Just a quick look.
That was Ward Burton off on the left side of the track there at turn 1 with 2 wheels, but managed to hold his spot. Nemechek in second, Burton in third, Labonte in fourth.
This Bodine, we see him die. He keeps trying the inside. Every that yellow car, and he made the pass that time on Labonte. Every time there's an opening, he's trying it. Coming to the front.
So Brett Bodine moves up, and there is Labonte right behind him. Labonte, arguably one of the smoothest drivers on a road race course from among the NASCAR teams. He's competed in the 24 Hours of Daytona with Billy Hagan several times in IMSA, and he gets real close to Brett Bodine.
You can see Terry right there driving real smooth. You were talking about that. He's not on any of those curves. You see he's right at him, but he's not touching him. And he is the contrast to Ernie Irvan, who really hustles the car up on the curves and sideways anywhere he can.
It would be fun to watch a lap of Terry Labonte and then see a lap of, say, Robert Presley.
There's Labonte. He's trying to get that positioning back. Bodine has moved over. He gave him that inside line, but Labonte couldn't make the move.
Those little ripples on the outside of turn 1, it's not a strip of ripples. They call them cow patties, and just like a whole bunch of bumps when you get out there. It'll get your attention not to put the car out there again, because it does upset the handling just a bit.
Yeah, they put that extra pavement out there for you to have a runoff area when you make a little mistake, and then the drivers just take advantage of it and use it. So they have to do something to try to make them stay off of that part of the track.
And there's Labonte shortcutting the curves as he comes out of the inner loop, as most all the drivers do here. And David Green, the Busch Series point leader, is in trouble.
Boy, a lot of attrition early in this race, considering all the yellow flags we've had. These cars are breaking down. We talked about that at the beginning of the show, Neil. You said that a lot of guys have been having trouble this time trying to keep these cars together.
Walk through the garage area, and there's motors laying all over the ground. Jeff Burton has been through 3 engines. A bunch of the guys have used several motors, along with a lot of transmissions. They're just a little bit rough on them right now.
Shauna Robinson makes a pit stop and comes back out, as you saw Todd Bodine get way out on that bonus pavement there at the top of your screen. Jeff Burton as well.
Well, the caution to the wind, that didn't last long, did it?
Use every inch of racetrack you can find.
As soon as they saw the pavement dried off, I guess they thought the grass was dry. But they better be ready when they get out there. We saw one car spin in it.
Climbing the hill, full acceleration, and up to high gear. Bill Elliott class the field right now as Jack Sprague makes a pit stop. And there's Brett Bodine, that yellow car, diving under Ward Burton. And it's a stop-and-go penalty on Sprague. Apparently, he went through the inner loop without taking all of the loops. And so got a stop-and-go penalty.
If they don't catch you, you can make up a lot of ground doing that.
Yeah.
This car, we're looking at Bill Elliott's car, but go back here, it's listing as Harry Melling, the car owner on this. You know, Bill's drives for Junior Johnson now, and evidently this Busch car belongs to the Melling Racing Shop.
Right, that car prepared down in Georgia. Ernie Elliott does the engines and all for Bill. That is a Harry Melling car. So Bill Elliott leads here at Watkins Glen, New York. 18 laps complete. Welcome back to Watkins Glen, New York. Bill Elliott continues to lead Joe Nemechek. Ernie Irvan has taken his car to the garage area. They replaced the drive shaft. He felt a vibration, ran one lap, and then came to the garage.
I tell you, watching these leaders, I'm not so sure Nemechek is not closing it down on Elliott. Bill had a little bit more room. Joe Nemechek is really moving in on him now.
Nemechek, who has 2 top 5 finishes in 2 Busch Series appearances here, closing it down on the race leader.
Earlier, right past this shot here when they went down turn 1, when he really gained on him. Looked like he could pull up on him on braking going down in the corner. See Ward Burton and the 2 cars running third.
And Todd Bodine makes a nice pass on brother Brett.
His brother looked around a little bit, says, I think I'll try it again myself.
Tough place to pass climbing that hill.
Well, you can't pass, actually, unless you have cooperation. And those 2 brothers right now, they're not cooperating too well.
That goes to show you race car drivers don't cooperate a bit. Even when they're brothers, it doesn't help, does it?
I think it's worse if you got your brother. I know my brother, I just as soon hit him as not.
There's Labonte. Labonte took a look back inside Bodine and going to try to get that position back. Couldn't quite do it.
Glenn Jarrett's got us an update on what happened. What almost happened to Brett Bodine there. What happened to Dave Resendiz? As you watch out from behind Bodine's car, Terry Labonte coming through turn 5. And to that second back straightaway. Here they come. When Ricky Craven's engine let go, Chuck Bound was right behind Craven, did a stab and steer, and when he steered, he got into Resendiz inadvertently, and that sent Dave Resendiz spinning.
I think he just darted over to get out behind the car that blew and accidentally hit Resendiz and just really sent him for a bad ride.
Well, Ward's car's a little loose. Last couple corners, we've seen it dancing quite a bit.
Interesting to see how the Hoosier tire holds up under these conditions. Now, Hoosier, no stranger to road racing. They do tires for a lot of the SCCA cars.
You know, we heard him say earlier they had a Myrtle Beach and a Martinsville tire on it, which is a really soft, as soft a compound just about as you could possibly go with. It'd be interesting to see if it holds up.
Well, Neil, if you think about the corners here that put the most load on the tires, they're pretty much 90-degree, low bank, short track kind of corners. They're just to the right instead of to the left.
Yeah, and before they put that, here's this 8 car, they said just missed the chicane. So he must have had a problem, though, because he's shutting it down. He went through the chicane wrong. He's probably just trying to coast back.
4 engines in one weekend. And this, perhaps, although we don't know what the problem is on Jeff Burton right this moment, he is trying to get down to the pit lane. This is from turn 11.
Yeah, he's pedaling now. There's no power there.
No.
They've lost 3 engines earlier this week. I think they actually flew a motor in from Roush to run in the race. I'm not sure if this is what's happened, but they were scrambling, trying to put some motors together.
Bill Elliott comes by Burton's ailing car, a winner at Myrtle Beach. And it looks like it'll be on the truck early here. There's the gap, first, second, and here's third place Ward Burton. And the 4th place car, Todd Bodine. How about that? Started 18th. Put last year's setup under the car. Said we don't like all the changes we made. We're going back to what we know works pretty well. And he is up to 4th place.
I tell you, racers will do that a lot. You'll run good one time, you'll come back and you say, boy, I really found something that'll work good. But they went back to their basic setup that ran, I think it was 2nd last year in this race.
Yes, he was.
And things look like it's coming to him now.
Curtis Markham on pit road with the Skoll car. There's Steve Grissom, and here getting a push from Robert Presley's crew is Jeff Burton.
Okay, we're standing by. Jeff Burton's crew is running up to meet him. They have a transmission problem. Fortunately, this time it's not an engine, but the transmission is out on the car now. He couldn't get to them, so they're running to him. They're going to try to repair him, get him back out there. He's in 4th place in the points.
Going to make that repair behind the wall back toward the garage area.
I guess that's kind of good news, bad news. No motor, transmission gone.
Yeah. It will run, it just won't go. Bill Elliott, you see how much the suspension travels on these 3,200-pound race cars. Ward Burton up there in the pavement, and here comes Robert Presley making the move on Hermie Sadler. You know, he told me this morning, he said, and he's got a little smoke there. Uh-oh, now that's a bad look.
Oh, me, they said he's just really been making a big move to the front. He just started moving. Here he's pulling over the inside.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever it was, I think he just had the big problem right there. He knows it. He's in trouble.
He said this morning, he said he never really liked Darlington. Then he got to run real well there, and now he loves the place. Of course, he's won there. And he said, I'm getting to like road racing. He says, but it's just not coming as quickly as I'd like. But I'm getting to like it.
Now, there's Presley. He's trying to stay out of the way as much as he possibly can, right over on the side of the racetrack. But still, he's got to cross the line every now and then on the track. But trying his best to stay out of the way. He's left his fast cars by.
Oh, it's a shame. A lot of attrition. They really twist these V6s here. Expect a lot out of them, especially as many times as you shift per lap.
Well, they expect a lot of them. They're getting a lot out of them. Rods, pistons, valves.
You know, a lot of these things will break when these guys break and downshift on the corner. You know, sometimes there's a rev limiter in that thing that keeps it from over-revving, but if you stick it in the next lower gear and let the clutch out, it's going to over-rev and break something.
Fifth place at stake here, Brett Bodine and Terry Labonte. And you see Todd Bodine has passed Ward Burton.
Well, he is on the move now. I'm not kidding. He's come from way in the back. We've watched him being real aggressive with those passes going in the inner loop. He keeps passing. It's a favorite place of his, I guess. He just moves right on the inside and gets everybody.
Up to third place. Finished second here last year.
There's Roy Payne. They were going by the blue and white car. Must be having a problem. He's way out of speed.
He's a rookie, and it's his first trip here to Watkins Glen. We'll be back with more of the Phase 150 live on the Nashville Network after this. Bill Elliott out in front of the field here, and Joe Nemechek is keeping it a close race. Back at third spot, Todd Bodine started 18th, and he has flown through the field up to third place. The C.C. Welliver team finished second here last year, and he's gained 15 positions. Ward Burton, though, staying right with him in the Hardee's Buick. In fourth place, back at fifth, it'll be Brett Bodine, the yellow car, and Terry Labonte in sixth. Long way back to the seventh place car. So let's ride on board with Brett Bodine. Turn one.
Boy, here's where you come up into these S's. This is packing it in there tight going through this section of the track, Dorsey.
You know, the camera doesn't show the elevation change. You're headed straight downhill now. You're going right up that hill. And it's going to turn right here in a second. That's where you get flat up on top of that straightaway.
And I think the other part that's interesting is talking about the flat out. Hold it on the floor. Never lift through that area. You just almost say the car won't make it, but it will.
The trouble with this inner loop is it's hard to pick up where that point is where you turn in because you're still kind of climbing there. All of a sudden, you're there. You're on it.
You know, we talked earlier, there was those markers there, 500 foot, 400 foot, 300, and you really have to relate to that to be able to see where to get in that corner.
Keeps it real low here through 5. Now you're just starting downhill just a little bit. The track flattens out.
Actually, quite a lot downhill right there. And you're going across a bridge right here. The car wants to get a little loose right where that tree is. Coming across the bridge is the fast left-hander coming up. We see a lot of guys get in trouble here, even though it is the left-hander only one.
Not very much banking to deal with, and they usually run off that area. I think that mud's got their attention today.
You watch right here. This is the turn come on straight. Boom, there's a big bump right there. You saw the car hit it. That gets the car sliding, and that's why they slide up on that curb. They use that white curb to stop the slide. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, and this car we're in is one using that curb more than anyone. He's really using all the surface up.
And Terry Labonte has come to the pit lane at only 28 laps. They're going to put left side tires on Labonte's car and fuel. Not sure if this would be a scheduled stop. 28 of 62 laps completed.
Everybody watches all the oval track racing. Well, they're going with 4 tires here. Those outside tires take the most abuse. Going 4 tires while they got him in.
Seems a little early, doesn't it, Neil?
I would think it's a little bit early. But, you know, this morning in practice, we had about 4 or 5 of the guys go out and run their car out of gas on purpose to see how much they could pick up and how far they could go.
So Labonte back on track after a green flag pit stop. Bobby Dragon, who won here last month, comes limping past, one of the Busch North competitors and former champion of that series. Tom Peck down to the inside there, the black and green SK Tools car, and Hermie Sadler. Moving along right behind him. Now let's pick up Steve Grissom. He's racing with Bobby Daughter and David Donahue, whose father had a lot of success here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, when you hear that name, you think road racing.
Mark Donahue.
What a racer. You know, all season long, we see Grissom qualify in the back. He usually comes right to the front. He hasn't been able to do that today. He's been struggling just a little bit.
Turn 10. Car transitions there just a bit. He all the way, got to cross all the way back over to line up for turn 11 here. Bobby Daughter, he's really slinging that car around Chicago style, isn't he?
Yeah, there he goes. He's going to try it down inside of Donahue.
That might be why he pinched that corner off so much. He was trying to think, I'm going to go inside this lap, and it's going to work easily for the pass.
Locks it up.
Smoking those tires.
Yep. Comes down the hill to turn 2.
If you can get around them there, they're not going to pass you till you get on the back straightaway. There's not any room in the S's for anyone, like you said, unless they cooperate with you, unless you can find. But you can pretty well hold them up through that section of the track.
Well, it looked like Grissom got the run going up the hill, though. It looked like he had a little bit more going up there. Usually, if he didn't have to lift, I think he did have to lift, but usually if you don't have to lift, you can get him going into the chicane. Up, and we see one going straight.
Hermie Sadler, yeah.
Missed the chicane.
Maybe they didn't see.
And Richard Lassiter is off at the chicane on the left side of the screen there. The car up against the wall was David Green. He stopped there earlier.
Mike, while we wait, they made the note that if you go through the chicane and don't improve position, there's no penalty. If you improve your position, they will. So I guess if you go through there and you lift, they're not going to penalize them.
I bet if you did that more than once, they'd want to have word with you.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to make it a regular route.
No. Bill Elliott now having opened up his lead on Joe Nemechek considerably, moving up on Curtis Markham, who made a pit stop earlier. Markham from Virginia came off the NASCAR Late Model Sportsman Circuit to go up and drive for Quinn Boisvert on the Busch North Series.
Let me tell you, people question a lot of times. They say, why will a Bill Elliott or a Earnhardt or some of these guys come in and run a Busch race? Let me tell you, Bill Elliott has not had the type of season he's wanted all year long. They haven't been able to run the Busch Cup. A win right here would be a big shot in the arm for Bill Elliott. I guarantee he doesn't care what the same pace. He'd like to win a race.
You bet. And there's Richard Lassiter again, this time to the tire wall. New colors for the High Point betting car, black and gold, but yeah, you see how slippery it is. So that's turn 1.
I'd get turned left a little more before I go back out on turn 1.
Yep, bounce over the cow patties there. Back onto the surface. I guess that grass really isn't quite as slick. We feared anybody whose car came to rest would stay at rest, but he was able to get back onto the racetrack.
Well, that's a little bit downhill where he was stuck. He had it headed downhill a little bit also, but boy, thank goodness they've got so much runoff there in turn 1. He slid a long way, still didn't get in the wall.
I'm not going to say anything. I've been down there before.
Yeah, and you didn't stop before you got to the wall.
Yeah, me too.
I come about 6 foot shorter than he did.
The car did or you did?
No, the car did.
Oh, good.
It looks so easy getting down in turn 1, so I think I'll go 5 foot deeper.
Yep.
And then you went 150 foot deeper before it stopped wrecking.
Yeah, the trouble is there's only 4 feet out the other side of that corner. Bill Elliott continues to lead with 31 laps complete. We are halfway in the Phase 150 at Watkins Glen. We'll be right back. There's Robert Presley. Or rather, here's Bill Elliott, the race leader.
Rear track bar is broken on the car, Mike, that holds the rear end under the car. The rear panhard bar is broken off, dragging, and the rear is just running around where it wants to go. That bar centers the housing up under the car. You can see that bar dragging on there, and the rear is just running all over the back of the car.
Tough break for Robert, who will make it back around to pit road and make repairs. Steve Grissom has made a pit stop, so has David Donahue. There's the bar. You saw it underneath the car.
Well, you see the rear end housing just running from side to side through the rear end, just running anywhere it wants to, left side of the car, right side of the car.
Now, is that a rear steer?
More than he wants to do.
Rear steer. Let's show you a replay of what happened to Richard Lassiter when he got off the course down at turn number 1. Watch top of your screen.
Yeah, he looped it coming off down in turn 1, and I still don't know how this thing stopped in this grass. Usually in dry conditions, that thing goes all the way out, and when you get over here a little further, you'll see they've got tires against this wall, and it's not decorative. It's to absorb some of that lick. He's lucky he didn't hit.
Presley makes it back around to his pit, way up at the head end of pit road.
Look like Presley need a hook and ladder driver on the rear back there.
I think you're right. The green flag pit stops continue. Steve Grissom has been in. Joins the leaders. And a car into the tire wall.
Oh, that's Phil Parsons.
Area. It is Phil Parsons, who was running in the top 10. The 7th place car, and he has narrowed up the right side of that car considerably. Matchbox Toys, Oldsmobile of Parsons. And this will bring out the caution flag. A tough break for Steve Grissom among the cars that had already made their pit stop. So at lap 35, the 3rd caution of the day comes out. Ernie Irvan led the first 7 laps, and it's been all Bill Elliott ever since.
Bill's helping him wave the caution flag there.
Let's show you again what happened here.
I can't tell where that corner is quite yet. We'll take a look here. That's off turn 5, I believe, as he's gotten it off on the outside. Hit that grass, no way to stop the car, and he's gone in with the passenger side. That's a hard hit right there.
It's almost like he didn't take the chicane. You know, we talked earlier how even if you take that inner loop back there, you can get it up fast enough through that corner and still have a problem.
Hey, you're accelerating back there now instead of braking, so he could have got down in there and, you know, just got in there too hot. Easy to do. Once you get in that grass, guardrail's the next thing you see.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a downhill run where he was going also in that grass.
So the pace car should pick up Bill Elliott as the race leader.
Well, I tell you one thing interesting there is Presley went by just in front of that pace car there, so he luckily didn't lose another lap. They came in on that bar and must have went back out with the bar bad.
Came in under green.
I almost questioned, did he lose a lap? That was him just went in front of the pace car. No, they got the rear end back under now, I think.
No, there's Presley. You may have seen Richard Lasser. I think that's Presley going to the garage.
You're
now,
right.
So sorry.
Well, it was a black car. What I know.
Pretty close. And they say the panhard rod is still loose on Presley's car. They're going to see if they can refit it and get him back out for some Busch points.
Well, it was getting close to time for regular pit stops because we'd already had one of the pit crews had already motioned for one of their drivers, big black flag, to bring them in. So we were getting close to pit stops. This will come in handy for these guys.
You know, Mike, one time when I was running with the Dodge crew way back when, we were running a front-wheel drive car, and we had the panhard barred brake. It actually made the car better because the car wouldn't turn in very good. Boy, it turned in good, but they black flagged me anyway.
You should have come out with new design after that.
I told them, you know, that's got to get a little rear steer.
Going to be pit stops under caution for all the race leaders. With 35 laps complete, we're just a little past halfway. We'll be right back. Here at Watkins Glen, all the cars on the lead lap came in and made pit stops, and now cars a lap or more down are making their stops under this caution period. Our AC Delco mid-race recap, sponsored by AC Delco Automotive Parts, available for almost any vehicle to help your car or truck last and last. 2 leaders, Ernie Irvan and Bill Elliott. Only the 1 lead change. Average speed slowed by caution to 86.5 miles per hour as of the halfway point here. 2 cautions for 8 laps prior to the one that we are under right now, and 5 cars are out of the race. Bobby Dragon, David Green, Jeff Burton, Ernie Irvan, and Mike Stefanik. 21 cars still running on the lead lap. Now, that included Phil Parsons, whose car has impacted the tire wall at turn 5 and brought out this 3rd caution of the day. That recap sponsored by AC Delco. It's like buying time. Phil Parsons is going to buy a little time and a little sheet metal and a little bit more to get this car back ready for its next Busch Grand National race.
Yeah, they got the rollback back there behind it, fixing to pull it up on the flatbed. I was kind of concerned if they could afford to get the trucks off in that kind of area and not get the truck stuck.
Well, they got a wrecker there to pull out the rollback, I guess, if need be. There's the turn 5 area you see. And he was accelerating through the middle of the corner, and it appeared the car went off, well, just about where the mid-corner point would be as you start to hunt down for the apex.
There's a good shot right there. Shows you how much downhill that is. That's a deep downhill angle. He was already started down the hill when the car took off on him.
And with the grass slick from the morning rain, the top of the screen, the camping area you see there, is part of the boot section that's used by the IMSA road race cars and makes this an 11-turn road course rather than the 7 that the NASCAR cars use.
And
there's a
there
look
is.
at the boot down in the lower right-hand corner of your screen.
And I can tell you for sure, you do not want to break down back down there to tow that boot, because it is the longest walk you'll ever take through the woods to come home.
Well, they'll get you out next week.
Yes, all right.
Yeah, or the folks with the campers will help you.
The radio doesn't even work back to the Pistons.
I think you're right. Folks, since we have a break here and they're going to load up Phil Parsons' car, figure out the best way to get it back to the pits without further damage, let's take another break here from Watkins Glen. We'll be right back with live coverage of the Phase 150. Art David Donahue's had a long pit stop with the hood up on his number 96, the NPA Oldsmobile, to ride with Brett Bodine. Under caution here. You see that light blue triple and in some places 4-strand high guardrail that rings this circuit. Requirement of the Formula One circuit when they raced here. 60s, 1970s. A lot of grandstands and then a lot of infield and outfield camping type area too. Yuck.
That got into those tires and it really wads the car up. You know, it absorbs the energy, but I'm telling you, it really beat up the side of that race car. They also took this occasion too to get David Green's car, which was stalled back at the inner loop area.
And Phil Parsons' car going past. Looks like they did the bodywork of the bag of lumpy walnuts.
I'm in the 75 pits, a car driven by Scott Lagacy, his first start in Busch Grand National Racing. He's doing a great job. He's running the top 10 all day. They're making a toe-in adjustment on the car. Scott said the car was really loose and it was darting around on the racetrack. This is something you very rarely see during a race, but because it takes so long to get around here under caution, you have time to do it. The car's been a little loose, but Scott in the Mark III Vans Food Country car has done a real good job today. They're hoping to get him back down in there and hope he can get back into the top 10.
What'll that change do for him?
Well, they're assuming right now that the car's towed out too much. And under braking or when you meet bumps in the track with the two tires, front tires pointing out, the car wants to wander and get a little bit darty, and that's what Scott's complaining about. He says it's real loose, which means it's turning in too quickly probably. And if you tow a car out, the car turns in real quick, but the back end comes out real quick too. So they're trying to fix both those problems at one time for him.
And they'll get him away before the field comes back to put another lap on the board. Looks like one more lap of caution now that Phil Parsons' car is headed for the garage. And they may get that indication that it'll be green next time by. 38 laps complete. The field has shuffled somewhat after pit stops. Terry Labonte led a couple of laps here. And he is currently the man up front. You see Hermie Sadler and Mike Stefanik and Steve Grissom on the tail end of the lead lap. Then here are your lead lap cars as they came off pit road.
That puts Elliott having to work some traffic to try to get back to the lead, and that's pretty tough at times on this track.
So they come back to start finish. There will be 4 cars on the tail end of the lead lap in front of the race leader when they get the green. Race leader being Terry Labonte, Chuck Bound, then Ward Burton, Bill Elliott, Joe Nemechek, Todd Bodine. And then likely the cars of Tracy Leslie, Tom Peck, Brett Bodine, Mike Wallace, and Bobby Daughter. That's a very unofficial rundown as they come past under the caution here. Next weekend, we'll be going up to Milwaukee, Wisconsin for a little beer and bratwurst in the Haviland 250. Busch Grand National Race, our first telecast from the Milwaukee Mile for the Busch Series cars. We'll be live on 2 p.m. Eastern here on TNN. Let's get a break in before we go back to Green Flag Racing here in the Phase 150 at Watkins Glen. We'll be right back. Back under green. 40 of 62 laps. Complete as they come by the stripe. And Terry Labonte moves to the outside, trying to put a lap on Steve Grissom as they come down the hill to turn 1. Rodney Combs there, 1 lap down in the number 1 car. A lot of jostling. Ward Burton trying to break through that pack, and Joe Nemechek. Grissom got a lap down because he pitted under green before that caution came out. So he is 1 lap off the pace. Labonte moving around Mike Stefanik, the Auto Palace car, Valvoline machine, and he and Grissom would then be up for position, but Grissom sails on past. So Labonte has a little cushion. A couple of lap cars back to the 2nd place car, which is now Chuck Bound.
Labonte's the type of guy who can really take advantage of it. He's so smooth, he's going to make you work hard to come to him.
Yep, here you'll see a very different leader style than when Ernie Irvan led at the start of the race. Bill Elliott, right on the trail of Chuck Bound, pulls alongside.
Boy, 3 wide. These guys really going at it now.
Yeah, this is where I thought we'd see a lot of cars run off. That little flat turn right there really puts the guys in a bind coming across that corner.
Turn 10. Ward Burton got past Bound, as did Bill Elliott there. Joe Nemechek right behind him, and there goes Jack Sprague and Joe Bessie at turn 10.
I should not have said that. But they're able to get back on.
Bessie drives back on. There goes Sprague. So apparently it's dried up a good bit here.
I think I saw in turn 1 a while ago, they've actually ran off the track so many times now, they got dust blind.
Yes. And Scott Lagasse bring the Charlie Henderson car back onto pit road.
That's a shame for Scott. He must have some sort of trouble because they made that adjustment. We see some smoke actually coming out of another car here. I don't think that's him.
Now Hermie Sadler, closest to your screen, is trying to stay on the tail end of the lead lap. Terry Labonte pulls up on him.
Boy, at a place like this, if you get a lap back, that's a pretty good accomplishment. You go down here, it's hard to get it back.
Well, Labonte dives to the inside.
That next corner is left-handed, so he's going to have to go a long way up toward the front, which he does do to make that pass.
Yeah, Sadler actually had the line. Looks like Labonte was clearing there. You can try it on the outside, but you got to be pretty risky to do it.
Elliott, Burton, then Nemechek.
Todd Bodine was really running good. He lost a few positions on that pit stop. We see much behind Nemechek. There's Nemechek going to the inside. Get under Grissom. There's Bodine hopping out from right behind Grissom also, trying to get him before he get in the S's.
Well, that track's totally dry now, so you can move all over, and, you know, all the racetrack that's out there, you can use it all right now.
And Grissom, being a lap down, doesn't want to mess up the race for the lead. So he has a pretty good car, and then Chuck Bound is the last of that pack that is on the lead lap. Then Tracy Leslie. A little further back, Tom Peck, Brett Bodine, and Mike Wallace.
We see Elliott's got around Hermie Sadler now. That puts him directly behind Labonte.
Bound moves around the David Donahue car.
David's staying out of the way, too. Yeah, we saw that whole back coming. He just...
That's the thing to do, park it.
Here's your Napa Field standing update brought to you by Napa, because there are no unimportant parts. Where your favorite driver was at 40 laps. Nemechek trying to track down Ward Burton. These two drivers trying to maintain point position. Head from here to Milwaukee next week, and so will TNN to bring you the Havoline 250 live. Then the following weekend, we're at Loudon, New Hampshire for the first ever Winston Cup race, along with the Busch North Cars and the NASCAR Modified Tour on Saturday, July 10th and 11th at the new New Hampshire International Speedway. Plenty of tickets left for Saturday. Sunday, we're told, is the grandstand sold out. But you'll see it all here on TNN.
Dorsey, I think you're right about that thing about the 14 car, the white car here of Labonte. Once Bill made that pass, he hasn't been able to do a whole lot to him. Labonte seems to be able to pull up on him when he wants to.
I think they just got hung up in traffic, and Bill made the pass. And Terry looks to be content just to sit and ride for a little while, maybe save the tires for a run later on.
There we see that interlude. There's that big piece of tire that was off earlier. Ooh, it's a worker. Jumped back over the fence.
Well, that could be a new one. Kelly Moore just came to pit road with dragging the right rear. So
maybe that's where they deposit them all, right on that corner over there when they go around.
Wonder if they get the nickel.
I doubt it.
Nope. Kelly Moore, one of the Busch North regulars. Want to fit a new right rear to that car and get it back out. 48 laps complete. Bill Elliott leading Terry Labonte. Ward Burton and Joe Nemechek, third and fourth, the highest placed Busch Grand National regulars. We'll be right back to Watkins Glen after this. Bill Elliott continues to lead here at Watkins Glen, trying to win his first ever Busch Grand National race. Elliott has never seen success in that series. Is that correct? We'll double check that.
Yeah, that kind of shocks me to say that because Bill's, been in a lot of the races like that. Like I said earlier, he needs a win just simply because of the way his Winston Cup season's been going, but certainly be big for him to win his first one here.
So Elliott out of turn 10. He's going to come through 11 here, looking for that little bit of bonus pavement up and on the outside of the track. You see, he just barely ticks the edge of the white there, and so does Labonte. Now, not everybody is so conservative coming out of turn number 11. We taped this a lap or two ago. Watch this in real time. Tracy Leslie.
Well, Tracy's having a magic moment right there. I tell you what, he came all the way across the curb, and that big blue thing there is that guardrail. I don't think he was an inch from it.
He hit everything but the guardrail.
Yeah, the white apron strip is one thing. The blue strip, that one's hard.
The blue stripe is what it is.
You said they put that ribbon, all this guardrail here when the Formula One guys were here. It wouldn't have made me mad if they took it with them when they left. That was always very intimidating going up through those S's when you see that big railing up above your car.
We remember a couple of years ago, Mark Martin had a big accident right there in the middle of that S. There's nowhere to go. Somebody spins in front of you, you're going to be right with them.
51 of 62 laps, so 11 to go. Mike Wallace having a good battle with Bobby Dotter. Now, this has been going on just about the whole race. For most of it, Dotter has been ahead. But now it is Mike Wallace who leads Bobby Dotter. Good battle here. And again, a couple of guys that are not known as being road racers.
Mike had been taking some of the tips from his brother Rusty, because Rusty gets around this road race course real good. If you remember, he won here just a few years back in the Winston Cup race.
You can close tabs on one another. There's two Oldsmobile, the FDP brakes car, and the DeWalt Tools car for Dotter. This is Bill Elliott's 28th Busch Grand National start, third twice. His best finish in this series for his first win.
The Wallace brothers, they grew up on those windy roads where I did. We'll talk about using the curve. Here we go again.
Well, Bobby Dotter grew up in Chicago, and they drive on the curbs there sometimes.
Sometimes it's the safest place.
Yeah.
Almost curb service there.
Very close to it. This battle is at about 10th place. You see Robert Presley back on the racetrack. And you're back up with the race leader. Man who hopes to notch his first Busch Grand National victory today.
Well, he's put a lot of distance between him and Terry Labonte. I don't know if that's through traffic or if he's just running better right now, but he's opened up a big gap right there.
10 laps to go.
Yeah, I sure thought that, maybe Labonte had a little something for Bill they could pull up here at the end, but looks like Bill's really pouring it on now. Tell you somebody's coming on. Look here. Here's Ward Burton diving to the inside. He was a good big way back behind him. He's kind of closing in on Labonte now.
Yep, and bringing Nemechek right with him.
Yep.
Well, I'm impressed with Ward. I've been watching him this year. I haven't met him before this year, but watching this, how good this young man's been doing in last few races, he's been a dominant guy here in the Busch Grand National Series.
He's running in third place with Nemechek fourth. Todd Bodine is fifth. Chuck Bound is sixth. Tracy Leslie seventh. Tom Peck is eighth. Mike McLaughlin is ninth. Mike Wallace presently 10th. Bobby Dotter is 11th. And Tim Fedowa is being posted unofficially in 12th place. Then a lap down, Steve Grissom, Hermie Sadler, Dick McCabe, Kelly Moore, and Rodney Combs, along with Curtis Markham. And 10th place. Bobby Dotter is going to take it back as they come up the hill from Mike Wallace.
Just before he got in those S's, you got to make that pass before you get in. He was able to do it.
And they're going to pick up lap traffic here in just a minute, so that could change back around. I'm pretty sure that race isn't over yet.
No, I don't think so. There's 9th and 10th.
Well, once he got away around him, he moved on out a good little bit.
Yep, Dotter's a little bit quicker right now. Bill Elliott trying to hang on, and Ward Burton got real loose that time coming off turn one.
Yeah, you could look over everybody's shoulder, and there was Burton sideways. He's trying his best to reel in that second place position of Labonte.
Looks like he's doing it. He's stretched out Nemechek a bit. He's got 6 laps. find a way to catch Labonte for second-place points. Remember that Burton, even though he would be, if the race ended now, the first Busch Grand National regular to finish, would still get just third-place points. Nemechek in fourth. He's been a pleasant surprise as far as his prowess on the road course here. Looking for his third straight top 5 finish at Watkins Glen.
They said they came up, did some testing, and did a good bit of practice on the track, and it's really helped. The car's been right in the middle of it all day long.
Remember, the drivers went out to Bob Bondurant School on the West Coast, and 5 of them, led by Todd Bodine, went to Bertil Roos School at Pocono International Raceway this week to pick up some pointers. Todd, Shauna Robbins, 3 other drivers went. Let's go to Glenn.
Well, Mike, Todd Bodine has another problem right now. I just spoke with his wife. Todd has lost his eye contact in the car somewhere. He cannot see. He's just feeling his way around the racetrack right now. The crew's all sitting over here in the back of their pit stall over there with their heads hung down, kind of shaking their heads. They don't know whether to laugh or whether to cry, but Todd's having a real hard time seeing right now.
I tell the blue car to move. Here it comes.
Or he may be using that as a guidepost.
Yeah.
That may be the one thing he can see. A blue car and blue guardrail. But you see in 5th place, he's got a good advantage over 6th place Chuck Found.
I guess if you race long enough, everything's going to happen. That's rare for that to happen.
You don't think they'll ever find that lens, do you?
No, I don't think I would look.
Nope, I wouldn't bother. Ward Burton, 3rd place car. All chasing Bill Elliott.
Now, Burton is using up the racetrack. There's 2 guys in front of him running a pretty straight line. Burton's kind of got a sniff of Labonte up there. He says, hey, if I stand on this thing, I got a chance to catch him. He's really slinging the car around the track.
I think he is catching him, too. I do believe he is. He's really using the racetrack up, trying to get up to him. And it looks like that gap is closing to me.
Boy, on this road course stuff, sometimes, Dorsey, you know yourself, if you can do that for 3 or 4 laps and really gain, but if you keep abusing it, sometimes you start going the other way. You abuse it a little bit too much. But we see right here, he's really closed it down.
He is. The problem is, Neil, is exactly what you're saying. If he runs real hard like this, he can catch up and then maybe not be able to do anything with him when he gets there, if he gets these tires too hot. And he is using the racetrack up right now.
Well, they're just under 4 laps to go, so it's time to let it hang out if you're going to do it.
Seems like he makes up ground braking, and then coming through the S's, they get away from him a little bit. It's such a long shot, it's hard to tell who's gaining on who. Such a long shot down that back straightaway.
One thing for sure, you can see Ward's car wiggling a whole lot more than the rest of them, so you know he's right there on the edge with that car. But you're right, it's hard to tell if he's gaining as much ground or losing ground with that long camera angle like that.
You'd put Burton in the category of the Dale Earnhardts and the Rusty Wallaces and the Ernie Irvins, the guys who throw a car around a road course, rather than the Bill Elliott, Terry Labonte's, Ricky Rudd, the fellows who finesse the car around the course.
Yeah, the 2 guys in front of Burton, I don't think they're going to just make a big error. I think it's going to take him pick up the pace to be able to beat him.
He's picking up all he can. It'll be 3 laps to go. In fact, Ward Burton told Glenn Jarrett yesterday that he has kind of, well, what we might call the Neil Bonnet approach to getting prepared to go road racing here. Ward?
Well, I raced road courses and go-karts all the time when I was younger. I'm not sure that applies much here, but went to Ross Bertle School, and that helped me some. He taught me a lot about technique. But the main thing is you just got to hang it out, and I'm not going to get the smooth drive award, that's for sure. I'm just trying to go as fast as I can and mash on the gas as quick as I can.
I'd say he's doing it.
Yeah, I bet he's mashing as hard as he can right now. He's a pleasure to listen to it.
I like him. I tell you what, first time I found him on TV, I knew right away I like the boy a lot.
It's a good thing he races faster than he talks.
Yeah.
As you always say, Mike.
That's it. Well, he'll toss the car around. You know, Elliott and Labonte are very technical road racers. They don't put the car up on the curbing. They don't get the car sideways, get it out of shape. But they gobble up a lot of ground. But look what Burton is doing with Labonte. Oh, Mike McLaughlin is off. He was the 7th place car. That's at turn 1.
Boy, that's going to be costly.
And there's a whole gaggle of cars in front of them. These guys have been going at it pretty hard, too. And, you know, race is heating up here. Got 3 laps to go, and everybody's fighting no matter if it's for 9th. They want to be 8th.
That'll drop McLaughlin back to 12th spot. And amazingly, he spins at 3 laps to go, just as he did when he was leading here last month. He's the Busch North point leader and the highest placed of those drivers in this race. 2 to go. Or excuse me, 4 laps to go. My mistake. 4 laps to go. 62 is the distance. You know, it's hard. We'll have another look, but let's see what happened to Mike McLaughlin here.
See him getting down in? No, here he comes. Boy, he's already sideways, way back on the straightaway up there.
Yeah, you know, that's a downhill braking zone, and what happens sometimes you brake and you get that back axle hopping up and down. If it starts hopping the axle, it'll turn around on you. I think that's what happened to him because he's backwards when we saw him coming to the corner.
Back with Bill Elliott, the race leader, trying to win his first Busch Series race in 28 career starts.
Just what he doesn't need, a lot of traffic. Well, that traffic didn't stay there long. Right between 2 of them.
And Labonte and Burton. Now, where they catch the traffic? Well, there's Curtis Markham off the course. Spinning out of turn 11 to the entrance of pit road.
It's like another track bar.
It did indeed, because that one wheel sticking way out, and in fact it is. You can see the whole rear end housing going back and forth there.
That's extreme.
One thing it causes, Ed, is just, we talk about throwing the car. That bar holds the rear end centered under the housing, under the frame rails, and just throwing it left and right just really abuses that part of the car.
Bill Elliott that time braking for turn 1 got the car twitching a little bit, so I think Terry Labonte putting the pressure on. Bill's having to run the car awful hard. And Ward Burton right behind Terry pushing equally hard.
Yeah, he sees that white car coming. Trying to get him a little bit more room, got a little bit hot.
When you watch a driver like an Elliott or a Labonte, it's kind of hard to picture how hard he's working in that car because the car looks so smooth.
Well, you're right about that. You know, when these guys just keep the car looking like it's straight all the time, what they're really doing, the car's sliding, but they're stopping the slide so quick and so early that you don't catch it. You can definitely catch Ward Burton sliding through this corner.
They work on Curtis Markham's car.
That Panther bar broke coming down in that corner, and now he's chasing that rear end all over the place.
That's a good save, you know, with that Panhard bar broke like that.
That's at turn 11. And there you see he ends up right at the entrance to pit road.
There's a big bump in that corner 11 there. That could have been what broke it when he hit that bump. It could have just broke that thing in half, and the rear end went right out from under the car.
Elliott laps past Robert Presley, who broke the track bar earlier. And there's the separation.
Yeah, it looks like Burton's lost a little bit of ground now. Either Labonte is picking it up, trying to catch Elliott. There's a little gap there now.
Burton and Nemechek, 3rd and 4th, highest of the Busch regulars. And as virtually everyone predicted, a couple of talented Winston Cuppers when it comes to road racing lead the field. Not Ernie Irvan as predicted by many. Irvan exited the race early with transmission woes, drive shaft trouble. But Bill Elliott and Terry Labonte leading Ward Burton.
Look how flat that car is. He just turns it in there. He's real gentle with the car. He's not sliding it at all. Well, study in contrast when you look back and you see Ward in there and you see the car lifting the wheels up in there and sliding.
Yeah, and you got to appreciate both of them. Here's some guys with a lot of experience easing the car around, but you got to appreciate somebody like Burton that says, hey, man, I'm going to make this thing go fast, sideways, or whatever. And that smoothness will just come with lap after lap on these racetracks.
And that's what he said. He said, I might not be the smooth guy, but I'm going to drive this car as hard as I know how to drive it. And by golly, he's right there doing a good job doing that.
1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. White flag for Bill Elliott. Has 1 lap to complete for what will certainly be the high point of his season to date.
I promise you, if he wins this race, he's going to call out and tell you a win is a win no matter what type of racing you're in.
Harry Melling listed as car owner. Hardy Boys Racing is what's on the pit board sign.
It's a group out of Georgia, dealership and all in Georgia. A good bunch of people.
It's fun to win a race like this, and nobody gave him this race. He's got some hard competition, been pushing him all day from behind, so it's a wonderful deal when you outrace all your buddies.
He passed Ernie Irvan for the lead at lap 8. Terry Labonte got in front on pit stops. And it wasn't long before Elliott motored past and back into the front spot. There's Labonte. Looks like to hold on to second over the 2 Busch point chasers, Ward Burton and Joe Nemechek.
I find it so hard to believe that Bill Elliott has never won a Busch Grand National.
Yeah, I thought that was a mistake earlier myself. He's been in a lot of these races.
You know, I said it and I wasn't sure I believed it, so we had to look it up.
Car smoking there coming in that corner. Elliott's got to get there yet.
Bill Elliott, for the first time in 28 Busch Grand National starts, will go to victory lane. Winner of the Bays 150 by about 20 car lengths over Terry Labonte. Labonte about 2 seconds ahead of Ward Burton in third, and Joe Nemechek pedals it on the last lap, comes home in a solid 4th place. Looking for Todd Bodine, who has been the 5th place car through much of this run, in the Fiddle Faddle car. Hometown favorite for the C.C. Welliver team. He notches a top 5 finish.
You got to wonder with his contacts out, does he know the checker's out?
Or is he still racing? I hope they've told him on the radio. Chuck Bound crosses the line for 6th. Tracy Leslie comes across in 7th. And unofficially, Tom Peck will be 8th.